Every business, no matter what it makes or who it serves, has the same baseline objective: getting money through the door. For a retailer, this is the physical cash handed over the counter for a product. Before mapping out how that money flows, we have to distinguish between two different metrics. Revenue is not profit. Revenue is simply the total pile of cash collected from sales, ignoring what it costs to make the product. Profit is whatever is left over after the bills are paid. That initial pile of cash is officially called total revenue, or TR. Calculating it is straightforward. You take the price of your product and multiply it by the quantity of units sold. Then there is average revenue, or AR. This measures the revenue generated per individual unit sold. To find it, you take that total revenue and divide it back by the quantity. If you divide the total money by the exact number of units sold to get that money, you end up exactly where you started. Mathematically, average revenue is another term for the price. Because average revenue is simply the price tag, how a business chooses to set its prices dictates every line and curve we see on a graph. Let's look at the first scenario, a hypothetical market where a business is small enough that it can sell an infinite number of units without ever changing its price. On the right panel of this chart, horizontal average revenue lines represent fixed market prices. Because price never changes, the line stays perfectly flat. Shifting left, this constant price shapes total revenue. These lines slope straight upward. Each unit sold adds a fixed amount. When a firm is a price taker, meaning its price doesn't budge regardless of volume, the growth of its total revenue charts out as a predictable straight line. Most businesses operate in a different environment. Usually, if a firm wants to sell a significantly larger volume of goods, it has to lower its price to attract new buyers. Dropping price means the average revenue curve slopes downward. Total revenue is the rectangle's area under this curve. As price drops, the rectangle morphs, shorter on price, wider on quantity. Plotting this changing area creates the total revenue curve, which rises, peaks, and falls. This downward turn reveals a mathematical limit. At a certain point, the financial loss from dropping the price on every item outweighs the gains from selling extra units. In a sloped market, blindly pushing for more sales volume eventually hits a point of diminishing returns, where total revenue begins to plummet. To summarize, the behavior of a firm's total revenue is entirely dependent on what happens to its average revenue when it tries to sell more. In a market with constant pricing, the flat average revenue line produces a straight, ramp-like total revenue line. When a business must lower prices to increase sales volume, that downward slope in average revenue creates a curved, hill-shaped total revenue line. If an exam only provides an average revenue graph, you can still find the total revenue for any specific point. Find the quantity on the horizontal axis, trace straight up until you hit the average revenue curve, look over to the vertical axis to find the price, and multiply those two numbers. By multiplying height and width, you are calculating the geometric area of the rectangle. Translating these abstract formulas into tangible geometric shapes makes the relationship between price, volume, and revenue visible and completely predictable.